after I lost my leg in a car accident, my daughter thought that I needed a therapy cat. And conveniently, she had a neighbor who the cat gave birth to 2 little fuzzballs under her king-size bed. And now she needed homes for them. So my daughter says, why don't you just let me bring them over, Mom? You don't have to take one. And my wise old husband says, Phil, if you do that, we're back in the cat business. So Kristen brought over Apollo and Athena for a visit, and they were adorable. Now, the only problem is I've only ever had female cats, but Athena was already promised. So we decided to take Apollo on a trial basis. So we kept him for a week. We committed to adopting him and changed his name to Rudy. Well, by the time he was a year old, he turned into the most obnoxious cat I have ever owned, or who has ever owned me. Well, he sort of liked me and the grandkids. He tolerated my husband and my daughter, and he hated everybody else. Well, my sister came to visit 2 years ago at Christmas time. And for the first 10 minutes, Rudy was really nice to her. He's rubbing up against her leg, and he's purring. And then my sister made the fatal error of turning her back on him and walking into my living room. How dare her? It was at this point that my kamikaze cat launched himself into the air like a flying squirrel and landed on the back of my sister's leg and bit her right through her jeans. Well, for the remainder of the week, my sister and Rudy took turns being locked in the guest room. And my husband said the only good thing that came out of that, my sister had never been back to visit. Well, Rudy's only 5, but he's already been ghosted by 4 veterinarians. And the last one said, you know, I think he needs to see a CCC, a certified cat counselor. So I thought instead of spending all that money on therapy for my therapy cat, I would just try to find a vet that just took cats. And I did, I found one. And she sent me a link to the new patient portal so that I could fill out all the paperwork for Rudy. I didn't have that much paperwork to fill out when I had to place my 96-year-old father in assisted living. They wanted his name, his nickname, his date of birth, his gender, his fur color, and his preferred pronouns, which were mouse and tuna. So then I had to give them all of his medical history and all of his nutritional profile. And I had to send them 2 color 8x10 photos of Rudy, and one had to be a headshot. And then they asked me for his daily living activities. And I said, well, you know, he sleeps for 18 hours, he cleans himself for 2, and the remaining 4 hours in the day, he terrorizes everyone who happens to have the misfortune to come into my house. Then they asked for his hobbies. And I said, you know, he really enjoys waking me up at 3 a.m. by sitting on my chest and poking his paw in my eye. And he also enjoys depositing cat fur on every piece of furniture I own and every article of clothing that I own. And the last thing, which is his favorite hobby, Rudy enjoys pooping in the litter box just before my book club arrives. And on the last page, there was a diagram of a cat with this question: where does your cat not like to be touched? I circled the whole damn diagram. Well, next came the phone interview. And about a minute and a half in, the new vet says, I think it would be best if we drug Rudy before his first appointment. And if that's not possible, then you can bring him in his cat carrier, and we will do a hands-off meet and greet for $200. This vet would not prescribed drugs for a cat that she had never seen before. So that forced me out into my neighborhood, searching for pet owners who could hook me up with some drugs. So I got a lead on a doggy drug lord named Luigi Malone. He was a 10-and-a-half-year-old mixed breed German shepherd with a bad hip. So Luigi and I hit it off right from the get-go. And I think we hit it off so well because in dog years, we were the same age. So I managed to score 2 gabapentins. And it only cost me a box of milk bones and a belly rub. Because the belly rub wasn't for the dog. It was for his owner. Well, since Rudy is 5, the vet thought that he should get his teeth cleaned. So I asked her for a price, and she wanted an arm and a leg. So I called around to some other vets, and they all came in at $800 to $1,000 to get Rudy's teeth cleaned. I thought, that's ridiculous. So I went out and bought a kitty cat toothbrush and some kitty cat toothpaste that was supposed to taste like salmon. It didn't. That's a story for another time. Some have nightmares about that. Well, I thought, how hard could it be to brush my cat's teeth? Well, I quickly found out that if I even tried to stick that toothbrush into his mouth, my medical bills were going to be way more than $1,000. So in order to keep me out of the emergency room and get Rudy's teeth cleaned, I had to start a GoFundMe page. Yeah. So Rudy's procedure is next Thursday, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'll post everything on Nextdoor and on his Facebook page. If you want to follow him, just Google Rudy the Cat from Hell.